Listen closely. Do you hear that? No? Good. Because after these 3 stories, you will.
A little over 18 years ago, I had just gotten out of the military. I drove all the way from Louisiana to my hometown in Montana without incident. I spent a few days at home and then got back on the road because my new home destination was Boise, Idaho. It was February, so instead of going straight down the length of the state, I cut across the panhandle of Idaho into Washington. The highway going straight down through the state is really twisty and very dangerous in the winter. So I crossed the state line into Washington. It was a Sunday, and it was very, very early in the morning. As cliché as it sounds, there was quite a bit of fog in the air. I had been driving for a while, and I really had to use the bathroom. Now, normally, given how I was out in the middle of nowhere, I would normally just pulled over on the side and took a whiz. But since it was so foggy and hard to see, I thought it safer to just wait until I hit the next small town. So I drove for maybe 5 more miles, and I started seeing signs for a town. I can't remember for the life of me the name of the town, but I think it was Linden or Linder, something like that. It was on I-90 going into the Spokane Valley, so I head towards the sign, which was a right turn off the interstate, and it's a short drive up this road, and I reached the town. It was small, but I thought nothing of it, since I was from a small town in Montana. Now, here is where things get odd. There was not a single person to be found. There were cars and businesses, but not a single person to be found. No one walking the street, no logging trucks driving. Everything was just as still as the air. I stopped at a gas station. It was one of those one-and-all places that did car repair, tires, etc., but no one was at the counter. I thought, well, maybe it's really early, so I went around to the side to see if the bathroom was locked, and it was. As I made my way back around to the front of the building, I saw a delivery truck. It was a Coke Classic truck. Except it wasn't moving. Its headlights were on, the hazard lights were on, and the passenger and driver side doors were open, just sitting there in the middle of the street. Yes, I was getting a bad vibe, so I got back in my car and went back the way I came. I got back to I-90 and thought again about just pissing on the side of the road, but honestly, I was too afraid. I continued driving until I hit Spokane. Honestly, I was more than a bit freaked out and had completely forgotten I had to piss. I didn't see anything creepy or hear anything creepy, but the stillness in the air and the complete lack of life, human or animal, was just terrifying and unsettling. I looked on the map to where I was once I got to Spokane, which was a Rand McNally's map because GPS on phones was just not a thing yet, and I could not find it at all on the map. Even as I was writing this, I looked at Google Maps and nothing by the name Linden, Linder, or otherwise is on the map. I still, to this day, will never forget that feeling of just freaky displacement I felt there. When I got to Boise, I told my friend about it, and he thought I was just ripping off Silent Hill or Resident Evil. And honestly, I can't blame people for saying that, but at the same time, that was the reason I wouldn't piss on the side of the road. I kept recalling the part in RE1 where the hikers were killed by the murderous dogs. Anyway, if you stuck around this long, thanks for reading. And if you know of a town on Highway 2 between Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Spokane, Washington, people let me know. If you are from there, I mean no offense, but your town is creepy as fuck. I have to correct myself. After going back over my trip, I didn't stay on Highway 2. I actually jumped on I-90 and then went to Spokane. Last couple of days, I have been thinking about this, and I have a 3-day weekend coming up.
Maybe I will take a road trip up to northern Idaho and see if I can find this place again. Maybe I'm tempting fate here, but it's going to be my 37th birthday, so here's to adventure.
First update 06-19-2019. So, here is an update. First off, I want to thank all of the people who have offered suggestions and information about the areas they are from. It's been a lot of fun discussing this with you all. Second, I want to thank all the people that are requesting updates. You are truly motivating. By trait, I'm pretty lazy, and I probably would have just said, screw it, I'm not going to do this. But you all have kept me motivated, so thank you. So far this week, I have been trying to get done what I would have done over the weekend, but after work, so it's been a crunch. Yesterday, I cleaned out the RAV4, and that is going to be my camper. It's loaded with some survival equipment, just in case, and an improved place to sleep. I'm going to rough it, but I'm taking my switch. My plan is to leave Boise right after work, which is around 6 p.m., and start my drive towards Libby, Montana. Once I get to Libby, I will then head back down the original route I took so many years ago. I will be taking pics and screenshots of my location on mobile GPS. I will also be keeping a log, maybe even study some folklore, and if time permits, look into that stuff too. Feel free to IM me here on Reddit, and I will also include my email address if you are interested. As I said before, IDK what I am going to find, or if it will even be that interesting, but it sure as hell beats sitting on my ass on my 37th name day and not doing something interesting. Thanks again, and I will see you all on the road. Second update, 06-19-2019. So, just another update for everyone. Had to postpone leaving till tomorrow. Didn't sleep well last night, and I had to work. Most of all, though, the weather is really bad. We are having high wind advisories, and I don't want to be going over the mountains like that. So I am gonna chill out here at home tonight and then head out before first light tomorrow morning. I'm still really excited to head out. Third update, 06-21-2019. Okay, so I overslept a little. I'm officially heading out of town now. Tracking puts me at my destination in about 9.5 hours. My plan is to get to Libby, Montana tonight, have a bite to eat, then I will be camping out at Bull Lake. Another crazy fact, I haven't been back to Libby, my hometown, in about 18 years. So the last time I was there was when I moved down here to Boise and had this mysterious experience. I'm not a big fan of the place, but after this long and now having no family there, I doubt anyone will even recognize me. I find this a bit exciting. Anyway, we are off to adventure. See you all later. My next update will be when I stop for gas or lunch. Hope everyone has a nice day. Fourth update, 6/21/2019. Finally got to a town that has a data signal. Currently, I am in Grangeville, Idaho. It's been a beautiful trip this far. The rain has been chasing me to the valleys and passes. It's become a kind of game now, running from the rain. It's awesome that it will be bright and shiny one moment, then I will go around a ridge and it will be pouring. It's amazing. So far, I have only had one event since I have been on the road. I was pulling into a gas station, and suddenly there was a crash, and it sounded like something was being dragged under my vehicle. I got out to see an electric cord trailing behind me,
so I took a look under my vehicle, and there was a big plastic bucket under my car, and in the bucket was what looked like the remains of a water pump. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't see any bucket. Apparently, the cord got snagged on my car somehow, yanked the pump up from wherever it was, end that got lodged under me. I jacked the car up a little and pulled it out, put the remains of the pump in the bucket, and that was that. Funny how all the locals just looked at me. No one offered to help or ask. After I got done being embarrassed and pissed, I got back on the road, but with the distraction, I ended up going the wrong way for about a mile and has to question myself, why am I going south? Anyway, got back on track and should be crossing into Montana soon, going to be swinging into Missoula. Hope everyone is having a good day. Fifth update, 6/22/2019. Hey everyone, sorry for the lack of updates. I ended up meeting an old friend in Missoula, and we ended up talking most of the day away about strange occurrences and phenomena. Now it's almost 1:30 p.m. here. I have been friends with this friend since the 4th grade, and it's not like we just see each other in passing either, so I feel this time was well used. She gave me her theories about what I may have experienced so many years ago and wanted me to keep her updated as well. Going to head towards Kalispell now and hit Libby after. Might spend the night and continue my search as I head back home. One thing I will tell you, being out of the city has felt amazing, and being up north, the air feels so much fresher. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. 6th update, 6/23/2019. So last night I reached my hometown of Libby. As mentioned, I have not been back here in 18 years. No one recognizes me, and to be quite honest, I'm okay with that. I buzzed around a bit, just looking at what has changed and what might be new. Went by the old house I grew up in. Someone living there did a nice job remodeling it. The nightlife here is pretty non-existent. The most I saw was by the local grocery store, and it was a group of about 6 to 8 young men just being loud and obnoxious. I had planned on camping out on Bull Lake last night, but sadly it was already packed with tourists, so I decided instead to head up to the dam in Libby, a little campground called Dunn Creek. It had a few people there, but it was already 11 at night, so I bedded down. Woke up randomly at 4 a.m. and it was chilly, so I turned on the engine for a little bit to take off the edge, and it was absolutely pouring. I honestly couldn't have a better vehicle for this trip. It's been nice not having to worry about hotel costs. I did, however, buy a bedroll while I was in Kalispell. My back is still bitching at me from the first night I spent in Missoula. Anyway, drove through town again at about 6 a.m. The place is dead. Was going to eat at the local restaurant called the Antlers, but they are closed until 8 a.m., so I took a spin down a few more blocks, and sure enough, I stopped 2 white-tailed bucks just grazing in a yard. This is probably one of the few things I miss from this town. But let's be honest, you guys want me to find a strange town, other than the one I grew up in, so let's get this going. I'm heading back over my footsteps that led to this story as of now. See you all soon. 7th update, 6/23/2019, 8:40 a.m. Left Libby at about 7:30. Tried to hit the first town that started with an L. Leonia. First, the road was occupied by a very pissed-off looking man and a German shepherd, and he was waving me off.
I pushed by him and go to where there was supposed to be a bridge, but there was a sign saying "Bridge out." I wanted to take pictures, but the dog was charging at my vehicle, so I thought it best to not get out. It was pretty cool though. As I was coming down into Bonner Ferry, I was going uphill and there was this huge silhouette in the fog, and it lumbered off. It was most definitely a moose. It was cool to see though. 8th update, 6/23/2019, 6 p.m. Okay people, I found the place. It's Lind, Washington, as someone in the comments said. Confirmed. And once again, there were no people. I looked up online some details. It has a pop, supposedly, of just over 500 people. There was a high school, but the population was so low, they had them kids moved to another town over. The funny part is, as you can see from the pictures, there is no one around. No kids playing, no people in the yards, and pretty much everything looks abandoned. The only thing I could find that resembled life was a mutilated bird in one of the 2 intersections the town has, and honestly, I took that my cue to leave. I wouldn't say the town had any sort of supernatural feel to it, but rather a forbidden feeling and a hills have eyes sense. I will be uploading my picture soon. The data service here, where I am, sucks. I could barely post this update.
Last update. So far this week, I have been trying to get done what I would have done over the weekend, but after work, so it's been a crunch. Yesterday, I cleaned out the RAV4, and that is going to be my camper. It's loaded with some survival equipment, just in case, and an improved place to sleep. I'm going to rough it, but I'm taking my Switch. My plan is to leave Boise right after work, which is around 6 p.m., and start my drive towards Libby, Montana. Once I get to Libby, I will then head back down the original route I took so many years ago. I will be taking pics and screenshots of my location on the mobile GPS. I will also be keeping a log, maybe even study some folklore, and if time permits, look into that stuff too. Feel free to IM me here on Reddit, and I will also include my email address if you are interested. As I said before, IDK what I'm going to find, or if it will even be that interesting, but it sure as hell beats sitting on my ass on my 37th name day and not doing something interesting. Thanks again, and I will see you all on the road.